Right there. Okay.
Katy!
Woo!
It was very profound. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Yeah. What were her findings? That's my question.
Well,
what
she
did
brought
she
a
learn?
daisy, which
Right.
is super important. It shows you how quick the flight was. The dead daisy that's like snipped from its life source was still alive or still vibrant.
Yeah, and it's
Look at her.
always yeah.
Shout out Daisy.
Wow.
Look at her nails. So pretty.
Now, so they go up there and they float for like 10 minutes,
At least.
and then they come down.
Let's not minimize this.
No, I know.
Let's
It's a big deal.
let's celebrate
Yeah.
female astronauts.
And they
'cause
could.
Just thank you. I am excited. I am excited. We're excited and happy. And it's probably the longest secret I've ever had to keep. And I like to tell you guys everything, but I knew I would tell you in the best way. I had to reveal it at some point. It's getting pretty obvious.
Online world tries to make me a human piñata, I take it with grace. The internet is very much so a dumping ground for the unhinged and unhealed.
Be a little polarizing, just like myself. You know, there's a lot of people that are like, she's awful, she should go. You can't win them all. I think it's actually better not to win them all because that means that you have a point of view.
Katy Perry didn't just reach for the stars. She crash-landed into controversy. After boarding Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket for what was supposed to be a powerful history-making moment, she found herself instantly turned into the internet's favorite punchline. But one voice stood out from the pack: Joe Rogan. The popular podcast host didn't hold back, publicly roasting Katy for turning her 11-minute joyride into what he called the most cringe space cosplay ever. And now, rumors are swirling that Katy has had enough. Behind the scenes, some say she's furious. Others claim she's ready to go on the offensive. Whether it's through cryptic posts, pointed lyrics, or private shade, Katy's response, real or rumored, is fueling a whole new wave of drama. The space memes were one thing, the flopping tour was another. But now with Joe Rogan dragging her and fans split down the middle, the Katy Perry brand may be entering its most chaotic chapter yet. And what's wild? This may not be the end of it, because if you thought Katy's Blue Origin trip was tone deaf, wait until you hear what's being said behind closed doors. Katy barely had time to finish her speech before social media started dragging her. Wendy's posted, "Can we send her back?" Joe Rogan cracked jokes. Olivia Wilde tweeted that the whole thing was embarrassing. Even Martha Stewart said she spent more time marinating chicken than Perry has in space. And these weren't just random posts. These are public figures, brands, and influencers mocking what was supposed to be a milestone. For Katy, the message was clear. People weren't inspired. They were annoyed, or worse, bored. The meme spread quickly. TikTok showed her kissing the ground with dramatic music playing. Twitter threads made fun of her, calling herself an astronaut. Reddit posts questioned if this was the biggest waste of money a celebrity ever made. The backlash wasn't just loud, it was global. Fans were torn. Some defended her, saying the moment meant something to her personally, but others felt embarrassed. They said she was out of touch. That while people struggled to buy groceries, Katy was floating around in space and acting like she saw world peace. She had gone to space hoping to inspire. Instead, she came back as a walking meme, and the internet wasn't letting it go. As the days passed, comparisons between Katy's space trip and real astronauts started to flood the internet. One clip went viral showing NASA astronauts talking about life or death challenges in orbit, right next to Katy floating for a few seconds and then giving a tearful speech. The difference was jarring. NASA astronauts train for years. They face real danger. They help with research, run experiments, and even fix broken equipment in space. Katy's trip, by contrast, was fully automated. She didn't fly the rocket. She didn't do any research. She went up, floated, and came down. Critics began calling her ride space cosplay. They said it wasn't about science, it was about selfies. And the more dramatic her post-flight behavior seemed, the more ridiculous it looked next to real astronauts who spend months in space and return without showy speeches. Even some space fans were upset. They said this kind of tourism makes space look like a playground for the rich. What once inspired people to dream now made them roll their eyes. And Katy Perry, unintentionally, became the face of that shift. Her moment was supposed to celebrate progress, but now, it symbolized how disconnected celebrities are from everyday life. The spacesuit, the daisy, the dramatic ground kiss, They all look less like inspiration and more like parody. And that's when things got worse. Because one of the loudest voices on the internet decided to weigh in, and his comments hit harder than any meme. When Joe Rogan caught wind of Katy Perry's spaceflight, he didn't hold back. On an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, he reportedly joked that Perry looked like she had rehearsed for an Oscar but landed in a meme. Though the full context of the comment isn't available online, clips began surfacing on Reddit and X within hours of the episode airing. In one, Rogan says something along the lines of, "I thought we were supposed to celebrate women in science, not pop stars floating for 11 minutes in billion-dollar toys." The quote quickly went viral, with fans and critics reposting it alongside memes of Katy in her metallic suit. It didn't take long before people began asking, would Katy respond? According to one insider on the celebrity gossip forum, she was livid about Rogan's remarks and allegedly called them sexist and reductive. While that quote has not been confirmed, it lines up with some of her more recent social media activity. In fact, just days after Rogan's comments trended, Katy posted a black and white photo of herself with the caption, "Let them talk. I'll keep building rockets." Many took it as a subtle shot at Rogan. A few days later, she opened her concert with a new spoken word intro about being mocked by men who podcast for a living. Fans cheered. The internet connected the dots. Was she talking about Joe? She never said his name, but she didn't need to. As of now, there's no official confirmation that Katy plans to directly address Joe Rogan, but multiple entertainment outlets have reported that her team is monitoring the situation. Some are even whispering about a possible segment in an upcoming documentary where Katy will address all the hate. An insider suggests Rogan will be a part of that narrative. If true, it could set the stage for a full-blown media feud. And if there's one thing the internet loves more than a pop star in zero gravity, it's a messy celebrity clapback. While the Rogan drama was catching fire online, Katy's next big move was already in motion, her Lifetimes tour. But instead of turning the page, she walked straight into another mess. And this one? It was harder to ignore, because now the fans were reacting with their wallets. At first, fans were curious, could she turn the space drama into a killer performance? But that hope didn't last. People quickly noticed the visuals were odd. They were deer with human eyes. Strange, stiff animations. Scenes that looked like AI-generated dreams. It didn't feel artistic. It felt cheap. Clips of the show went viral, but not for the right reasons. Viewers called the choreography stiff and robotic. Some said she looked uncomfortable. Others joked that her backup dancers had more life than she did. Reddit exploded with theories. Did her team run out of money? Did she rush the planning? It got worse. Some fans said they couldn't tell if Katy was trying to be ironic or serious. The space theme felt forced, the visuals distracted from the music, and the entire performance left people more confused than impressed. Once again, her image was spiraling, and this time, there was no rocket to escape in. The jokes kept coming, but the ticket sales didn't. Reports came out that her shows weren't selling well at all. In Houston, more than half the seats at the Toyota Center were still empty. In Minneapolis, only 1/3 of the arena was sold, even with ticket prices dropping to $75. Fans started asking questions. Why was demand so low? Had Katy's moment passed? Some blamed the space trip. Others blamed the weird visuals. A few said it was just bad timing. But one thing was clear, people weren't showing up. Mexico City was supposed to be her big launch, but 2 of the planned dates were canceled. The official reason? Technical delays. But insiders say the truth was simpler. Ticket sales were too low to justify the cost. Even her loyal fans, known as the Katy Cats, were starting to worry. They defended her on social media, but admitted that the show didn't look good. Some hoped she would fix the visuals or change the format. Others said she should cancel the tour before it got worse. Industry sources claimed Live Nation was panicking. Empty arenas meant big losses, and with Beyoncé about to start her tour, the pressure was rising fast. After the backlash exploded, Katy Perry and her team went into full rescue mode. First, they launched a behind-the-scenes series on YouTube titled Space Was Just the Beginning, featuring pre-flight training, personal reflections, and behind-the-scenes footage. The goal? Make her look human. Show the nerves, the dreaming, the work. But it backfired fast. The comment section became a war zone. She's trying to turn this into Gravity, and it's giving Sharknado, one user wrote. People weren't buying the effort. Her team also rolled out carefully worded tweets and reposted support from verified fan accounts, but most of it looked staged. Even the fans' replies sounds like PR plans. One fan asks, is this empowerment or damage control with a glitter filter? On Instagram, Katy posted a photo of herself looking reflective with the caption, when you follow your dreams, you'll meet your fears. The comments? Brutal. "Girl, your dream costs more than my house," someone replied. While on stage, Katy leaned harder into her narrative. She gave longer speeches about women in space, chasing dreams, and being misunderstood. But instead of applause, audiences often sat quietly, phones out, recording her every word, not for inspiration, but for the next viral soundbite. Her efforts to rewrite the story kept failing because people already made up their minds. And in the age of internet memory, once you're a meme, you're not just trying to fix your image, you're fighting an entire culture that never forgets. Katy Perry's space adventure didn't just spark jokes, it triggered full-on rage from the climate community. Clips of her past flooded back online, videos of her in Bangladesh with UNICEF, tearfully speaking about rising sea levels and food insecurity. Posts resurfaced of her standing on stages, urging governments to take action and invest in green energy. At the time, it made her one of the few pop stars actively speaking out about the climate crisis. But now, those same clips were being turned against her. One viral video began with her old speech about saving the planet, then cut to their Blue Origin launch with the words $1.2 million for 11 minutes stamped across the screen. Another creator compared the rocket's carbon output to the average emissions of 30 households over an entire year. The message? Katy's dream just burned through enough fuel to displace families she once claimed to fight for. Eco-activists didn't hold back either. Greenpeace posted a cryptic but cutting tweet. The planet doesn't need astronauts, it needs accountability. Environmental blogs published breakdowns of just how harmful space tourism is when done for spectacle, not science. The worst sting is her silence. She didn't respond to the climate accusations, not once. No press statement, no acknowledgement, and in the absence of a response, the backlash only grew. Even fans started commenting, "You can't preach about saving the Earth while riding rockets like it's Uber." The contradictions were loud, and so was the disappointment. While Katy faced her own storm, Gayle King became her unofficial spokesperson, and it didn't go well. In the days following the launch, Gayle sat down with multiple news outlets, passionately defending the Blue Origin mission. She called it historic, important, and for the future of humanity, but viewers weren't having it. Clips of her interviews were quickly turned into reaction videos across TikTok and YouTube. One particularly viral stitch featured Gayle talking about inspiring young girls to dream big, followed by a user sarcastically saying, "We're dreaming about paying rent, Gayle. Can we do that first?" Another creator pointed out that real trailblazers, like women working minimum wage jobs while raising families, get zero attention, while rich celebrities get applause for floating in space for 600 seconds. The academic community chimed in too. A space policy expert called her statements well-meaning but misleading, explaining that suborbital joyrides contribute little to the advancement of science. He added that the message gets lost when it's coming from people who have never struggled for basic needs. Meanwhile, Gayle doubled down. In one interview, she said, "You don't get to judge it until you've done it." But that comment rubbed people the wrong way. It sounded elitist, like space was an exclusive club for the wealthy, and that the rest of us couldn't understand. Her intentions may have been good, but the message was messy. Instead of shielding Katy from criticism, Gayle accidentally threw more gas on an already raging fire. At first, it sounded like the start of something iconic. Katy Perry, pop legend, going into space. But by the time she returned, that narrative had completely unraveled. Headlines once full of admiration had turned cold. Pop star or space tourist? Asked one. Another bluntly read, "A girl who roared, then floated." YouTubers made deep dive exposés dissecting how Katy's empowerment messaging had gone corporate. One pointed out that everything from her spacesuit to her Daisy speech felt manufactured, as if it had been screen tested for approval. Another called it influencer activism with a billionaire budget. Even longtime fans felt conflicted. "I love her music, but I don't recognize her anymore," one fan commented on Reddit. "This isn't the underdog who broke the rules. This feels like a sponsored ad for wealth." Instagram pages that once praised her tour now posted memes comparing her to a malfunctioning robot. Rival artists began subtly throwing shade. A popular female rapper tweeted, "I empower women by paying their rent, not by flying over them." The post didn't name names, but the timing was clear. The industry was watching, and no one was stepping up to defend her. Her empowerment brand was in free fall. What was once made her stand out, being quirky, bold, and real, now looked forced. She wasn't being praised for breaking barriers, she was being laughed at for trying to create one. And in an age where authenticity wins, Katy's performance felt like the exact opposite. Katy Perry's spaceflight was supposed to be the beginning of a new era, one where she combined fame with purpose. But it didn't take long for that dream to unravel. In just 11 minutes, she went from a global pop icon reaching for the stars to a punchline for the internet's most unforgiving roast. The goal was clear: turn a personal milestone into a cultural moment, but the execution missed every mark. Instead of feeling inspired, people felt insulted. Instead of seeing bravery, they saw branding. And instead of clapping, they posted memes. Her legacy isn't just caught in the crossfire of controversy, it's now part of a larger conversation about celebrity privilege, performative activism, and how far removed the ultra-rich have become from everyday people. She wanted to be a symbol for dreamers. Instead, she became a cautionary tale for influencers everywhere. You can't fake impact, not in 2025, not when the internet is watching everything with a magnifying glass. What hurts more is that it didn't have to end this way. A different tone, a more grounded message, even one moment of humility could have saved her. But that moment never came, and in its place came silence. So now, Katy's floating in a different kind of space. Not zero gravity, but zero connection. The world didn't reject her dream, it rejected the way she sold it. And that's why the final verdict wasn't applause, it was a punchline. Can we send her back?